Hello friends, I would like to talk about something that is happening today in the sense that in the last 2 weeks or so uh, the results are out and the students are getting their results in 10th standard, 12th standard. Many children actually have got very nice marks like 95, 97, 98. There are some children who also got a lot less marks like 85%, 75%, 70%. So they may be also feeling quite uh, somewhat depressed about it. So there is a natural question that arises at this point. Is it the students who have scored 90% and above, they are really going to succeed in life? Whereas children who have scored less than that, like 80, 85, 70, 60, they are very unlikely to succeed. It is a statement that is verified anytime. So everybody wants to know the answer to this, because we want to make sure that we take the children in the right path. In India, there are not many studies that have happened on this. Like it is possible to, for example, look at today's children who have scored this kind of percentage and track them after about 10 years and see where they are. But some of these studies have happened in the other countries. I'm going to quote from an article in Forbes, which talks about actually high school children who graduated from high school with the top of the grades, what happened to them. So they are actually quoting an author called Eric Barker. Okay, Eric Barker wrote a book called Barking Up the Wrong Tree. Okay. So he talks about the high school students who have done well at the top of their grades in the high school. So he says basically, though it is natural to assume that they excel after graduation, the research actually shows otherwise. In the sense, if you look at that article, this Forbes article quotes actually some excerpts from the book and what is written in the Times magazine, is that the reality is that those who graduate at the top of their high school do well in life. They'll get into a good university and they'll get into a good job and be able to earn some money and they do well in life. But research shows that they don't tend to rise to the pinnacle of their chosen fields or be responsible for any kind of a disruptive innovations and paradigm shifts in the society. So this is basically what is observed. And also the question that comes is, why are those number ones in high school so rarely become number one in real life? Now there are two reasons, as the author talks about, is that schools reward students who consistently do what they are told to do. And academic grades, of course, they don't have a very good correlation to also the intelligence part, the IQ part. And they are actually an excellent predictor of self-discipline and ability to comply with the rules and these kind of things. Okay, that's the first reason. Second reason is that schools actually also reward being a generalist. There is very little recognition of a student's passion or his focus in one area and things like that. So because of this very rarely they tend to do well. So if you look at this, this is about the countries where there is a lot of alignment between what they learn in the school and what they go and do something in their work. Whereas in our country, in India, when you look at it, that alignment is also pretty loosely defined. And secondly, now you know what happens, the way that it is taught in the school, there's a lot of this so-called rote learning. And from the day one, if you go to any of these high schools, or even the 11th and 12th, or what we call pre-university boards, schools are mostly aiming from the day one to teach children on how to score well in the exams. There is nothing called really understanding the subject. So there is nothing called how Newton's law works or how evolution works. There is no such interest that needs to be generated among the children and things like that. It is mostly to do with how you can score. So I have seen how they talk about a light chapter. Light is such a fundamental thing in physics. So the class starts like this. From light chapter, we are going to get 2 3-mark questions and 1 4-mark question. This is how the light chapter starts by teaching. Okay, and this is not in normal schools. It's supposed to be good schools. In spite of these things, I have seen that there are some children who actually have some interest in the subject and they fall in love with the subject and they want to learn. They want to have some real learning. So is real learning possible for such students? So can they, for example, do a good learning? So if they suppose do well and learn all the chapters, what is there in the book well enough, will they be able to score well also in the exam? Because if you don't score well in the exam, getting seats are basically affected. And many a times it is not just the seats; it's about how you are perceived in your peer group, your relatives, and all those things matter. That hits on your self-confidence. So these children who really want to learn, who are interested in real learning of all the subjects, will they be able to score well? Also, is a question. To understand this, you have to know how to score well. Okay. So let me just give you an idea about how it happens in many of the state board schools, for example. I mean, it's true to some extent even in the central board, but more generally in state boards, is that there is something called as a question bank concept. Now you will be surprised what it means. In every subject, there is a question bank given. Okay, let's say physics, chemistry, maths, biology, some question bank given by the board itself, and that question bank contains certain questions from each chapter, and it's for all the chapters put together. There is a set of questions. Now, in the exam, they will have to ask questions from the question bank only in your board exam. So what does that mean? That means if a student sits and writes all the questions and answers 5 times or 6 times and become good at writing those answers, can easily score 95 marks. So scoring 95 is all about practicing these questions. Whether you really understand the subject or not is not an important thing for scoring the marks. So this aspect, many children who are actually trying to do the real learning, they may not know. And not only they may not know, they feel it very hard to do such a thing, to practice basically some questions 10 times and to be able to write in the same way and go and then vomit in the exam. They don't like it. So hence they tend to actually many times score less marks. So the real learning is not a cause for less marks. So the real learning actually kind of gives you a feeling that you should not do these kind of things of by hearting and rote learning and writing, and they don't want to practice writing this. So hence they score less. But the clever ones, they understand the world. The clever students, I have seen students who are actually very good in subjects. They learn well. They have real learning abilities, and at the same time they also score good marks. There are some students like that. So it depends on the kind of environment they are in. But I would like to basically talk about fundamentally what is my opinion about real learning versus so-called rote learning. Now, rote learning is what you do to get good marks. So here is my opinion. Point number 1. Let's understand that exams are there, okay? And exams are utterly useless. They are not useful to students. They are not useful. They are very useless. You don't learn anything from the exams. But we don't have an alternative. Till an alternative is found, until there is a certain amount of understanding that happens in all the people and the system change, we need to score marks. So children have to get that. We need to score marks not because of there is no use. It is only to make sure that you get good marks and parents are happy, relatives are happy, and you have certain confidence. And ultimately, there are some cutoffs here and there to write into exams, all that are taken care of. But remember, what matters in real life for you is real learning. Real learning is nothing very different. It is just simply what is there in the subject. You, with interest, you learn it. You know the depth of the subject, you understand it, you want to know more, and you learn it by having fun. So that's real learning. So real learning actually matters because ultimately when you go into a job or a workplace, or you may become a scientist, or you may become a great engineer, or even if you go and finally you become an entrepreneur, a good lawyer, anything you can become. So you can become one who knows everything, okay? One who is actually really doing things, one who is not at the periphery. So in a company, if they lay off 20% of the employees, in difficult times, for example, you will not be the one to be laid off, because you are the one who is running the company. Because you know things. This is actually the meaning of real learning. You are the one who understands things. So I would like to basically use this opportunity to the children who have tried to learn really well, but may not have scored greatly in the exams, saying that don't worry, it's basically going to affect you in a short run, but real learning helps you in a long run. But those are the clever ones who actually do the real learning, but at the same time they know that this is important to score marks, and they dedicate last 2 months to solving question papers, to basically doing the question banks, and they make sure that they get that practice of getting good marks. So concentrate on real learning, and at the same time, during the exam, it's 2 months. Don't start from the day one to basically on how to score marks. It's completely useless in your life. Last 2 months or 2.5 months, dedicate yourself to score marks, because that is needed today. But as the society progresses, as we find better ways of doing education, I think that will go out. But now it is required. All the best.